So greetings, ma'am. We are here to present to you about the regulations on the sales of international sales of goods. So, firstly, before we start our presentation, we would like to first introduce ourselves. My name is Margaret Pacbal.
And I am Andrew Teves.
And I am Janelle Tabamo. I am Angel Alvaro Stinson.
And we compose of the Group 6. So, without further ado, let us start our presentation.
Okay, for our first topic, we'll talk about domestic law. Domestic law is an international sales contracts often fall under the jurisdiction of multiple countries, leading to potential conflict of laws. This complexity arises from factors like the location of the seller, buyer, contract inclusion, contract performance, and the asset itself. So I have my example here. So that is the term. So first is location problem. For example, German company sells software to a Japanese customer, and the deal made in England, and the product sent to Australia. And the big question is, which country law should we follow? The second one is the contract rules. Different countries has different rules. For example, France needs written contracts, while England accepts verbal deals. So the smart move for this one is write it down to safe. So to make things clear, the best solution is choose one country's law in your contract. For example, we'll follow New York law for this deal. If no law is chosen, courts pick the country most connected to the deal. So let's think of it, it's like a game of soccer. You need to know which rule book you're using before you start the game. In business, you need to decide which country rules you follow before making a deal.
International treaties. International treaties play a crucial role in defining legal rules related to international sales of goods, aiming to prevent conflict and harmonize regulations. These treaties can focus on either substantive rules or rules of conflict. Number one is treaties to unify substantive rules. The SISG is the most widely applied treaty in this category. It aims to create a uniform legal framework for substantive rules in international sales contracts. This means it sets up specific rules governing aspects like the rights of obligations of parties, breach of contract, and dispute resolution. Example is a company in the Philippines sells goods to a company in France. If both countries are parties to SISG, the SISG will govern the contract, regardless of whether the contract explicitly mentions it. This ensures a consistent legal framework for both parties. The second one is the treaties to unify the rules of conflict. These treaties address conflict regarding the applicable law in international sales, especially when the parties have not chosen a specific law. And the third one is the Hague Convention 1955. This convention generally favors the law of the seller's location. And the last one is the Rome Convention 1980. These treaties provide a framework for solving legal disputes in international sales, ensuring predictability, consistency in case border transactions. And that ends on one part, and I let my fellow groupmate to take on stage.
International mercantile customs and procedures. International trade involves business from different countries, each with its own laws and practices. To ensure smooth transactions, standardized customs and procedures have been developed. These guidelines help businesses understand their rights and responsibilities in international sales. One of the most widely used frameworks is in terms, the International Commercial Terms, which clarify responsibilities regarding risk transfer, transportation, and insurance in global trade. For example, under FOB, the free on board, the seller is responsible for delivering goods to the ship, after which the buyer takes responsibility. Under CIF, the cost, insurance, and freight. The seller must also pay for insurance and freight to the buyer's port. Another case set of rules is the UCP, the Uniform Customs practice for documentary credits, which standardizes how banks handle letter of credit. For instance, if a company in India exports goods to a US buyer, the buyer's bank can issue a letter of credit to guarantee payment, provided the exporter submits the correct shipping documents. This ensures secure and efficient transactions. These customs and usages provide a common language for businesses, reducing misunderstandings and disputes. By following international mercantile customs like Incoterms and UCP, businesses can trade with confidence, knowing that universally accepted laws govern their transactions. This standardization promotes efficiency, trust, and global commerce. That's end of my part, and let's move to another topic.
So, for the last topic of this presentation of ours will be the other sources of legal terms. So, first will be the model contracts. These are standardized contract templates drafted by professional associations and independent organizations. They are widely used in various sectors and aim to provide clear and fair terms for both parties. So the last source of legal terms would be the general principles of contract law. So under these principles, extracted from international business practices, have gained recognition and popularity, faith and precaution of such. So the examples of this will be the UNIDROIT Principles of International Commercial Contracts, or PICC, and the Principles of European Contract Law, or PLC. And so that ends our presentation for this term requirement of ours. So we thank you for having time and seeing this video, and that's all. Thank you for this.